Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The yellow belt preparation for the certificate. We are going to start. What is the Six Sigma? As last time, Six Sigma is a statistical measure which show how much variation exists between an observed data point from the mean. In 1986, Bill Smith was the first person to develop this principle, and he is working on Motorola. Six Sigma work on elimination of the defect and reduce variation. Lean is concerned about the waste. Six Sigma eliminated defect and reduce variation, and it needs the agreement to support the decision from all the staff business, which is known as buy-in. So Six Sigma is a continuous quality improvement methodology that focus on defect per million opportunity. Those projects that have a quality experience with Six Sigma, it means that there is a defect not more than 3.4 defect per million opportunity to do the job. So if I have a process that I repeat it million times, only the defect will occur in 3.5. There is other level of Sigma, 5 Sigma, 4 Sigma, 3 Sigma. Whatever this level of Sigma comes down, the number of defect per million will increase. It does mean that 6 Sigma will be 3.5. If 5 Sigma, it will be hundreds. 4 Sigma, the defect will raise to 1,000. 3 Sigma, 100,000 of the defects per million opportunity. In 2 Sigma, less than 500,000 per million trial, and in 1 Sigma, more than 500,000 of the million trial. So if I am keen about the safety of my process, like in healthcare service and aeroplane service, I have to apply a Six Sigma level to keep it safe. So what does mean that Six Sigma has 3.4 defect per million opportunity? It means that the process is accurate 99.99966%, almost 100%. It does mean that in case of aeroplane, there will be inappropriate landing for the aeroplane. One may be short or long landing every 5 years. Or in case of healthcare, there is possibility of 1.7 incorrect surgical operation per week, only 1.7 per week. Suppose my process is not at that high level of safety of Six Sigma, maybe 4 Sigma. It does mean that the short and or long landing may be once each day. It does mean that every day in the news, we will have some bad news that globally there is 1 aeroplane landing improperly. Or if you are going to a surgeon that work in a hospital applying only level of 4 Sigma, it does mean that there is 3,000 incorrect surgical operation per week. That is the meaning of applying a high level of Six Sigma in the process that you need to make it very safe for your customers. Now we are going to discuss what about poor quality. Poor quality means that it is a bad mouse. When the customer come to your place and he said, "La wallahi al-khidma sayyi'a." Unfortunately, it is a poor quality. So The Six Sigma determine the cost of poor quality to reduce all cost and waste. Before we have definition about Six Sigma that it is related to eliminated defect and reduce variation, and now it is determine the cost of poor quality for the aiming of reducing the cost and waste. How they doing this? First, they have to know what are their customer. The hospital have to define what are the customer and what is the important for them. Then understand what they are in need, what is their expectation of the service that they come to receive. And then they will produce a specification of the service according to meet these needs. This is define your customers, what is the voice of the customer, what is their needs, and try to find what is the problematic area in your hospital or in your area that does not meet this need of your customer. Then determine the internal process that cause variation and cause defect. What the causes of this defect, and develop way to address the causes of this defect. And then develop metrics to standardize the process and to measure the changes that is applied to reach your goal. Same like what we have said. This is the changes that based on measurement, irrespective of the point of view of anyone or the person working on it and the assumption, it is a precise process known as the MIC. So the Six Sigma applying the MIC, they determine the cost of poor quality to reduce the cost and waste. Let us again state the starting point, voice of the customer. We have said it before. The voice of the customer is how does the customer describe the quality. It is usually expressed as specification limit. هو جاي عايز ايه? What is the level of the quality of the service he asked for? What is the defects that the customer can tolerate to accept? What is the quality improvement should align with that level of need that he expressed? So, customer is the person who drives the project, and he is the goal of our project. Whatever this customer is, internal or external, because with any process, it is not aimed aimed to the external customer. Some processes are internally, and the end user is internal in the hospital. Like the doctor and nurses are the end users of the medical record. They ask for the medical record of the patient to go through it to find out what is the problem before and to document in it what is the current situation and what is going to do to improve his health condition. So the medical staff is the end user for an internal process as a customer. So the customers are internal and external. The voice of the customer, why we ask customer to define what is his requirements or need? Because the customer is important. The customer is important because he pays for the service. He supports the resources needs where I will put my money according to the specification that he needs. If he is concerned about the air condition of the car, other than to put a CD better than an old radio. So whatever his needs will direct me where I am going to put my resources to meet his needs. And he is the one who used the end user of my product. So the voice of the project is the customer. Let us collect the customer needs. We are going to collect the voice of the customer either reactively after he receives the service or proactively. It does mean that before he receives the service. Reactively through the complaint of the patient, the sales reporting if I am using products, or web page if he complained to the MSD or the web page that he writes some comments, or proactively by doing surveys or focus group or benchmarking or direct interview. We will ask him what you don't like in our service. What are your expectations about our service? What is important to you? What is the defect you find? How do you find us in relation to our competitions? How are we doing your service? And what do you like in our service? This all will give us the voice of the customer, because the voice of the customer is the goal of our project. How customers' expectation could be defined. Whatever positive or negative includes what he likes or dislikes. We will ask each customer what is his desire, what is important to him, what they perceive as a defect. So the three main points is what is your needs, what is important, put priority about what is the most important, second in rank, what is the least important in the service that you are asking us to deliver to you, and lastly, what is the defect that we need to know, what is the defect that he can shoulder, which is the least important criteria in his point of view. How to change this voice of customer into material that we can work on. We are using two tools, the critical to quality element and the key process metrics, and another tool we will discuss, but not in details because it is in the details is mathematical calculation, usually at the green belt level. First, critical to quality element. What is the critical to quality? It is a measurable characteristic of the product or the service that the patient specify the limits that must be done to satisfy him. My goal is to satisfy the patient. I have to know what I am going to do from his point of view to make a product with a specification that satisfy my customer. It will help to translate what is his need into measurable, actionable action to be added to the process or to be changed in steps in the process that it will meet his expectation. How can I know it? Through what is known as critical to quality tree. I have changed his needs into performance requirement in the process of production of my service or product. Here, the customer need great donut. It means that he need it fresh and with different variety. So I have to put in mind how to make it fresh, to produce it on demand only, because if it will kept for some time, it will not be fresh. If I am going to deliver it to him, I have to put it in a box or bag that preserve freshness for him. The variety, how I can make a performance requirement for his demand about different variety. I develop regular menus about 20 types of donut. I have to change it every now and then, and I have to add seasonal flavor in every season with that donut. Let us make some practical example about critical to quality, because last example is not measurable, actionable. Let us make it is actionable only. Let us do it measurable and actionable. The customer need is good service. What is his concern is waiting time, pleasant staff, and the refund policy if I'm working in a private sector. If in the waiting time, I'll put it, the performance requirement that 90% of my customers has to be satisfied with the waiting time. So I have to work on the waiting time to make it 90% of my customers to be acceptable by the waiting time. So I will ask him what is the proper time of the waiting time that you need. All phone calls have to be answered within 20 seconds. In our daily work, we said 3 ring. After 3 ring, don't wait for the 4th ring of your phone. Within 3 ring, you have to answer. Third, performance, it is a measurable, actionable action, specification that you have to do to satisfy your customer. 90% the purchases process or refund process has to be finished within 2 minutes. I'm not going, if you want to buy something or to pay for something or to take money back, I'll not let him wait for a long time. So it has to be within 2 minutes, measurable, actionable. If the pleasant staff, all the customers greeted the patient within 30 seconds of attending. And all the customer-facing staff to smile genuinely when interacting with the customers. It could be observed by an observer when he will check to find out to what extent we are applying the changes in any process that to meet the customer need. The refund policy, we will state in it, because we stated that control means sustain the changes that you have made to the process to be a habit, documented, and ask everybody to do it in the proper way. And at that time, we will give the end result of the project to the staff to be applied and to make it as a daily habit. So 80% of the customer satisfaction with the refund policy, and everyone follow up this refund policy. In the medical field, we will give the hospital aim is concerned about the operational cost. The patient point of view, optimal care satisfaction. He needs his satisfaction. In case of medication, the hospital concerned about reducing the inventory, and the patient avoid the out of stock occurrence. When I come to take my medication, it is I know that it is 5 items. They give me 4 and they give me a slip of paper. Next time or after 1 week when it is available, we will call you back. Now, the strategic wise, it is called as big wise, the big outcome of the voice of the patient, of the voice of the customer, and there is little wise, which is the project objective. We change it into critical to quality, to work on obsolete stock, we will work on safety stock level and the order size, how to make it cyclic level of the inventory to become short time. This is how to change the customer voice into specification, measurable, actionable, that need to be put in daily work to satisfy your patient. The other example is the key process output variable, which is either key process input metric or key process output variables. In any process, there is input and output. I have to look about the key process input variables and output variables. This example talking about the printing process. I have to look about the ink viscosity, the machine speed, the paper weight, the paper gloss, the formulation. Because if I am not looking for this input, I will have faded color, misregistration, spots on the printing papers, or poor adhesions of the what I have printed to the paper, or over coloring. Usually, you have to think about, it is only a question about what about the key process metric that it is a tool used for translating the voice of the customer into measurable specification that you can do to increase his satisfaction. The third tool to change again the voice of the customer into performance measure, translating customer requirement into performance measure known as house of quality, or quality function deployment, QFD. It is a mathematical way to change the qualitative customer demand into quantitative parameter. The wording of the quality of the customer, I have to change it into numbers, figures, and percentage to work on. How to, this is the role of the green belt members of the team. But at the yellow level, you have to have a general idea about how it could be done, only a general idea. That we will put here in the first table, what is the customer want? He wanted lightweight. It is if the camera is lightweight, easy to use, reliable camera, easy to hold steady, and no double exposure. And then he will put prioritization weight, how important is each criteria in his point of view. Then these are the action that we doing inside our hospital, how we can meet the, or in the factory, how we can meet this requirement in the form of, if it is 1 giving dot, 3 giving ground, 5 high relationship giving ground with dot inside. That we can do it aluminum to make it lightweight. We can make an agronomic design to overcome easy to hold in steady. Here we put the competitors level of our competitor in production of this criteria, if it is good, fair, or poor. At last, we calculate the in number, how we can do it, the need of the customer, So it does mean that 1 multiplied by 3 plus 1 multiplied by 4 plus 3 multiplied by 5. So the total is 22. This is the weighting rating that we can do, so we know how we can respond to the voice of the customer.